Well, the rumour mill is still going on. I mean, what are we now? 5 days in and we're still talking about the Partygate, where the photos got deleted and why. Now, I've done a little bit of digging and I have another theory. So bear with me because I think this makes sense. I know we're seeing some things that they weren't invited, but I'm going to talk about behaviour and why I don't feel that theory tracks. So if you want to delve into the psychology behind celebrity behaviour and the royal family, and at the moment it is mainly Harry and Meghan, then this could be the channel for you. So please don't forget to hit that like button before you leave. Just give it a good old kick on the way out. Subscribe to the channel so you do not miss future uploads. So if you're still here, then welcome, and go grab a drink of choice, whatever that may be, and sit back, relax as we get into some tea with a touch of therapeutic knowledge. So we're heading into the weekend and we are all, well, I say all, a lot of us are still talking about Partygate. And yes, I mean the fact that Meghan and Harry turned up to a Kardashian party. Now, obviously, when I put the first video out, I wasn't sure of a lot of things. All I kept saying was that something feels off, something doesn't feel quite right, especially with the fact that 2 pictures were deleted, one from Kris Jenner and one from Kim Kardashian. And a lot of things have been circulating. There has been so many different variations of why these pictures were removed, let's just say. And you know, when it comes to something like this, the way my brain works is if there's no absolute credible proof, I then go to behavior. Okay, what makes sense? So one of the first things I'm hearing is that Harry and Meghan, I know a lot of YouTubers are saying this, a lot of things, and it's been apparently circulated by people on magazine. Now, people are very pro Harry and Meghan. So I think Harry and Meghan know that the rumour mill is circulating and it's sort of going in the direction of not favourable to Harry and Meghan. So I do feel that there is a source, whether it's Harry or Meghan or someone that's one of their assistants, that have contacted People magazine and said, look, can you put this out? Because then it sort of makes us look good in some kind of way. And so what has been put out by People magazine is that they asked the Kardashians to take the photographs down because of the optics. It didn't look good in regards to the fact that it was on Remembrance Sunday. You know, it was being deemed as tacky by the royal inner circle, and Harry and Meghan didn't want to upset the royal family as they're trying to make amends. That doesn't track. Now, I believe that it's something that Harry and Meghan would do because they're trying to make it seem as if they like, you know, they're trying to get back in. And that is the sort of thing they would do. But that in itself doesn't track because they've already been spotted going into this party. So why would you then worry about photographs when you know that already something has been put out where it states there was a notice put out to all of the guests saying, do you opt in or opt out for photographs? And you cannot tell me that with Harry and Meghan, knowing they're going to a Kardashian party, that they're going to be thinking, well, we won't get photographed. And I'm going to get to that in a minute. So this whole thing of, you know, we want you to take down the photographs because we care about the royal family. Since when? Since when have these two given a hoot about the royal family? They have gone. So you're telling me that the 2 photographs being put out on the Kardashian on their Instagram bothers them, but an Oprah interview calling the family racist was okay. That Harry writing a book, literally delving into the privacy of his own family, calling, mentioning his brother's bald head, talking about unaliving 25 Taliban, and then wanting to threaten his father by doing a flyover. So that's okay. But 2 photographs going up on the Kardashians, they are worried that might upset the optics. Please. Now, I can see them saying this and putting this statement out, but do I think that's the reason the photographs went down? No, I really don't think it is. So let's go back to the party itself. So we've already seen that pictures were released. Now, I do believe, I could be wrong, that the initial picture of them outside potentially could have been them going into Serena's party. I can't recall whether that was the outfit because Harry was seen wearing a poppy. Now, we do know that at some point during that day, he did some weird interview, or not interview, but kind of video call, again, trying to, I think, almost upstage the royal family, because Catherine had written that beautiful letter, funny enough, then Harry does. Then Catherine, is monopolizing the media, because of what, the way that she's been and the whole thing. It's up with the royal family. And then, of course, Harry does this weird message, apparently to veterans. And then we see pictures of Harry sitting with elderly veterans, which he's never really done before. So we know what they're doing. So we have that. And so, of course, this whole thing right now is what I'm seeing is people saying they weren't invited. So I feel like that's a little bit of a grey area. Now, I have watched some of the Kardashians because I like to try and understand how they work. When they organise parties, you usually find that they don't organise their own. They might have some little input, like the guest list, etc., but generally they don't. They don't do their own. So you'll see generally that Kim and Chloe will do something for their sisters. One will do something for the other, or they'll do something for their mum, or their mum will do something for them. But they generally don't do their own parties. So the guest list, I think, was probably a case of, especially given that it was Jeff Bezos and Lauren Sanchez, it's their place, and they held the party. So I wonder if they had some input in this. Now, we know Jeff Bezos is Amazon. He's connected to Amazon. And who has recently done a little, who's apparently done a little cameo, which is by Amazon, Meghan. Now, I think we all know that Meghan loves to charm and she loves to love bomb, and especially older men. I think she definitely feels that she has some sway. She feels that she's very attractive to older men. And unfortunately, some do seem to be enamored by her because she can turn on the charm. So I do feel that maybe the invite was connected to Jeff Bezos. So this does mean, in technical terms, that maybe the Kardashians didn't actually invite Harry and Meghan, but Jeff Bezos was part of the organising the party. So somehow Meghan wrangled an invite. And whether that was connected to Serena, maybe, because, they're all in that sort of similar circle. So that, I think, is how the invite was created. We know also that Meghan has been trying to groom Kris Jenner. She's been constantly sending her little weirdo gift baskets. And Kris Jenner has at one point acknowledged the gift basket, I think 1 or 2 times. So I think so when you look at how much Meghan has desperately tried to get the Kardashians' attention and be part of that, it doesn't track that Meghan would then go, oh, but I don't want any photographs of me connected to you on your Instagram. That's going to be a win for her. She's been included with Mariah Carey, with Adele, and all these other famous celebrities, Beyonce, and all of these people that she has, in a sense, been been chasing after. The minute she gets what she wants, and, you know, an invite to the Kardashian party, you're telling me that she just goes, yeah, no, I don't want to be included in any of that. Please. She's a networker. She's a grifter. Of course she would. So it then still comes down to, okay, so what happened? Now, obviously we don't know, so we're only going by what we're being told. And I think we can basically say that we don't trust anything the media say, because we know that celebrities drop their little sources in and they say things like they're now, you know, like some people are saying they weren't invited. If they weren't invited, then why did it seem that Kris Jenner and everyone was happy to have the photograph taken with them? If nobody invited them and they gate crashed, I don't believe for a second that this wouldn't have gone well. So I don't buy the fact that they weren't invited, but I do perhaps buy that if they weren't invited by the Kardashians. I think that she is grooming Jeff Bezos, which is how she secured the part, because obviously he's connected to WME as well. So I think that she's maneuvering things to get these invites. So the other thing as well is who has just bought to James Bond. Ding, ding, Jeff Bezos. And we know that Meghan has coveted being a James Bond girl. Now, try not to be catty, because I do try to step away from the cattiness. I am a Gemini, so I do have a split personality. But I possibly feel that Meghan might be a little bit, well, for a James Bond girl, I'm just not seeing it. I'm just not seeing it. But we know that Meghan is delusional. So there is every part, and of course this is a 007 themed party, so I think that's all connected. So I do think that she is maneuvering herself to wanting a part in James Bond. So I think this is all her networking. This is nothing to do with the fact that they just want to turn up to a Kardashian party and everything's all wonderful. This is down to her networking. This is all she ever does. She uses people to get what she wants. So I potentially think that that's what this was set up to be. Now, it is very possible, because obviously these pictures went up on, let's say, the Kardashian, Kim Kardashian and Kris Jenner, and then they were removed. I do not believe that Meghan and Harry asked for those pictures to be removed, because if that's the case, we have to say, well, why? And like I said, this cannot be anything to do with not wanting to upset the royal family, because they have done nothing but recently try and upset the royal family. You have Harry that has tried to step out and undermine his brother at Earthshot Prize. You've got Meghan dropping her holiday special, which is tying in with when Catherine does hers. And also, you know, it undermined, it was dropped when Harry was doing his thing. She managed to drop her when she had a part in this film. She dropped that just as Harry was doing his thing over in Canada. So you have, she literally is vying for attention over everybody. She upsets everybody. So this is not something that she's going to give two hoots about. She's now just got what she's coveted. You know, a moment in public with the Kardashians, to be seen in that inner circle. She's not going to then go, I don't want any association with them. Now, what does seem possible is we also know how strategic the Kardashians are in their marketing. You know, as much as they may not particularly like Harry and Meghan, because like I say, I don't believe they were invited by them per se, but it's very possible that one of two things happened. They started to see that Harry and Meghan were drawing far more attention, being that it was her birthday. And, you know, when the Kardashians do something, they want it to be about them. And you've got Harry and Meghan who are monopolizing the media, because no matter how much, and this is the really unfortunate thing, no matter how much they're disliked, they are consistently talked about. And I'm just as guilty because I do the YouTube videos on this. So, but when you've got all these huge egos, you know, you are not going to want somebody that is going to monopolize that. And so it's very possible that their team was given some photographs, because like I say, I'm not imagining that the Kardashians are sitting there kind of going, right, we're going to just pop that on Instagram. You know, it's not like you and I, they have a team that does this. So it's very possible that the team were going through some of the okayed photographs and they were like, yeah, we're going to put this and this up. But then as this is developed, they potentially found something out. They found out that Meghan and Harry are trying to monopolize the media on this, or they potentially found out that Jeff Bezos brought them, and the fact that she's networking. Maybe something happened within that party. So when they were looking at the photographs, they were like, you know what, we don't want them in there. We're going to take them out. And so they removed the photographs. I mean, maybe they weren't meant to go in and they ended up going in, and then they were removed. Because to remove a photograph makes a very big statement. And I do not believe that they weren't invited, because like I say, I know it's an easy thing to think, because given how much people don't like Harry and Meghan, and I think this is part of the problem that I have with social media, is that it's easy to see something salacious and go along with it. But the problem you have with that, if you then start believing everything, like I get sent the most craziest things that Meghan has supposedly done, and there's no evidence to back this. But it seems that some people will just take anything and everything because they want to just talk salaciously about them, and it doesn't matter that that's not the truth. Whereas with me, as much as I understand that it's not always agreed upon, but I try to find the truth. And if I cannot find the truth, I then go back to basics of like, okay, well, let's look at the behavior, because if it's this, then that doesn't track. You know, the behavior is right there. So like I said, if they were not invited, then we wouldn't have seen the way that some of these photographs were done. And I know that I was one of the ones that said that they looked a bit weird, something was off. And I think that, so now, you know, they were there because some people have said they're AI, and I know that they're known for that, but I do generally feel they were at this party. Because if it was all AI and they weren't there, then the Kardashians wouldn't have put them up on their own social media to start with. So, you know, I do feel that this was a networking for her. You know, she was networking with all of these people, and it is very possible that at some point within that party, the Kardashians found out. Now, of course, there's been rumors of, because phones were, there was a hold put on the phones. So there was something that they said within the thing is that phones were not allowed to be used. And I guess I understand that, because obviously it's a private event. Now, of course, some rumors have come out that Harry and Meghan were caught using a phone, taking photographs. Again, is that something that's possible? Yes, given past history, but there's no evidence to back that. Because if a YouTuber says this, you would want to kind of say, but where did you hear that from? Where is the evidence? Because it's not enough just to say, and that's why I try to explain the best way I can with the psychology side of human behavior of how this could potentially be true or not true. Is this possible given their past behavior? Yeah, of course. But do I think that Meghan and Harry would risk gate crashing an event that's so high profile, given how much Meghan knows she's disliked? No, I don't. I don't think that Harry and Meghan would risk turning up to an event as big as the Kardashian event, a birthday party, when they've not been invited, to gate crash it. No, I'm sorry. I know that she's got an ego and Harry's an idiot at times, but I just don't buy that. I don't buy that they would just gate crash with all the security and face the possible humiliation of being turned away and have that publicized with the paps outside. No, I just don't buy it. You know, with one thing with Meghan is she's, especially publicly, she's very controlled. What she does behind closed doors is probably loses the plot. But on the surface, because she needs people to like her, she's very controlled. So I don't see that. But I do see her organizing this with Jeff Bezos and schmoozing Jeff Bezos and Lauren Sanchez. And they're probably thinking, oh, she's so lovely. And oh my gosh, we've got Harry. I mean, it's probably more to do with him. It's like, oh, you know, Prince Harry. Because, you know, at the end of the day, they've been in California for 5 years now. Why have they never been invited before? It seems a bit of a coincidence that all of a sudden she's doing this film connected to Jeff Bezos and Amazon, and then she turns up to this party that Jeff Bezos is hosting at his own place. You know, we've just had this recent dinner with Emma Grede, which was obviously, I think Lauren Sanchez was there as well. Maybe, or correct me if I'm wrong, but I think she was. So I think that Meghan is literally grooming these people. And because we know how narcissists can be very, very charming and very, very believable, they're possibly feeling sorry for her, and and they believe they're helping her without recognizing the fact that she's using them. She is a very vindictive viper, in my opinion, and she will not just use people just to get this little thing. It's like once she gets that, she's going to want something bigger and bigger and bigger. And that's what she does until she secures it. We've seen her do this. So do I feel that she orchestrated this invite? Yes, I do. But it is very possible that the Kardashians weren't particularly aware of it, but went along with it because they're polite and because they didn't want to be the ones that were like rude and whatever it is. But it is also very possible that when the photographs went up on Instagram, they have possibly found things out and they have removed those photographs because they don't want them. And of course, what's happened then is that Harry and Meghan have gone to People magazine via their source and said, we didn't want to upset the royal family for the first time ever. Oh, please. So you've done everything else up until that point, but you don't want you don't want to look bad because you want back in. But like I say, but what about trying to upstage Catherine? What about trying to upstage your brother literally 2 minutes ago? That's okay? No, not buying it, not buying it. Like I say, I think that she's trying to angle for this Bond girl role. I think that she's networking, and I think she used the Kardashian party to network. Now, what's interesting as well is that they were not seen later on. So I've also heard rumours, and again, these are rumours, not substantiated, that they were both ignored by a massive amount of the guests. And what's interesting is if you look at anyone else that is there, Paris Hilton, Justin Bieber, Snoop Dogg, Beyonce, there was lots of other people, you know, when you see the photographs that they've put up of the event, Harry and Meghan are nowhere to be seen. Now, it's possible they might be in the background somewhere, but they're not there with anybody else. So nobody is interested in them. And I think that does speak volumes. So I think that's why I do not believe that they were invited by the Kardashians, but I do believe that they were potentially invited by Jeff Bezos and his wife. And yeah, so that's just my thoughts and opinions on this. You know, I think that this is, like I say, whether you like Meghan or don't like her, which I know majority of us don't, they get talked about. You know, this whole thing with the photos has got people talking, you know, and some people have said, could this be a ploy between Kim and Meghan to, you know, to get people talking? No, I don't really think so, because at the end of the day, what are they gaining from this? Yes, okay, they're gaining attention, but they get attention anyway. It's like they're getting attention for taking photographs down of Meghan and Harry. And Meghan and Harry are getting attention for having their photographs being taken down and being snubbed, which is why I don't believe that, because it's not like they're gaining positive. You know, they haven't both come out with a statement saying, you know, oh, we still love each other, a bit like she did with Gwyneth Paltrow. We love each other. But it's, you know, but Meghan and Harry have done the, we just didn't want to upset the royal family, because obviously it was, you know, Armistice Day, and, you know, it's really important to us, even though Harry was wearing a poppy and Meghan chose not to, which I think was purposeful. So, yeah, I say I'm not buying the photograph thing, because the damage was already done. There was already photographs coming out of them there. Now, of course, there weren't photographs of the inside, but somehow they got leaked. And I wonder who leaked those. You know, not sure. But like I say, a lot of this is speculation. And I do feel that we have to be a little bit careful when we go down that rabbit hole. It's quite easy to believe the worst. And trust me, I get it, because I feel that way myself. But, you know, like I say, I do try to stick to the truth as much as I possibly can and what seems feasible to me. And those two not being invited and gate crashing doesn't seem feasible to me. Them asking the Kardashians to remove the photographs when all she's ever done is coveted being with the Kardashians. She's had her moment, and she then goes, I don't want the photographs to be public. And yet, weirdly, she's not put any photographs on her social media. So I think one of the other things that they asked for them to pay for the photographs. That I believe that could be something where they've said, we know you can put our photographs up, but you've got to pay us to do it. Yeah, I can believe that. I can, because Meghan and Harry do believe they are up there, like they're still like royalty when they're not. So again, no credible proof, but I go with what I believe. And yeah, that is something I could see happening because of how egotistical. And if that is the case, then that really is going to call off any potential relationship. What was the other one as well? That apparently the Kardashians asked Meghan and Harry to do a video, an entrance video, to go on their Hulu Kardashians, and apparently they said no. Again, I'm not sure if I believe that. I mean, it could be that Meghan sees herself as the star, and so she doesn't want to be a bit part, but then she's happy to play a cameo in a film, but not be part of the Kardashian thing. I don't know. I'm not sure if I believe that. I think she would have jumped at that to be involved in having a sit down and a coffee with the Kardashians and being on their show. I think she would have jumped at that. But all I know is that there's a lot of egos in that room, and I think Meghan has possibly bitten off more than she can chew when she thinks that she's the top dog. And I think that that's when her insecurities show. And so them leaving early, which I've heard, does track, because if people ignored her, she would hate that. So she would have dragged Harry off and been like, we're not staying. Nobody's talking to me. But let me know what you think in the comments. And like I say, it's always okay if you disagree with me. And if you disagree with me, please tell me why, because I don't always pretend to be right. You know, I just give you what I believe and what I know. I understand that I don't always get things right, and I do appreciate that. And sometimes I'm late to the party or whatever it is. But as I've said before, please understand, I do work full time. I'm very tired a lot of the time when I do these videos. And you know, you're trying to navigate that, plus the menopause, which I know I've gone on about, but it's a factual truth. It's part of life, and it does hit me sometimes. You know, I'm running the free therapy program, trying to constantly think of ways to keep that going, because, like I said, my channel is being hit consistently. The views have dropped. I'm struggling. It's so important to me, and that's why I do talk about it on here, because it's really important to ask you guys to help me just by watching these videos. You don't have to do anything else other than that. Watching, sharing, liking, going across to my Bite-Size Tea, supporting me over there, because if I can build that channel up, I can keep the free therapy program going. It means so much to me now I've got this started. Trust me when I tell you, it is one of the hardest things when I have to tell somebody I can't help them. I wish I could do more, but I'm one person. But my aim, hopefully, is if I can grow this, then I can employ maybe another therapist to help out. But, if you can only do that, then that is all I ask. If you can do a little bit more, then that's amazing. But I always say, please look after yourself first and foremost. But if you are interested, you can treat me to a coffee, you can donate, you can become a member, you can, hyping the videos helps. Bubble merchandise, all of the things that are in the link, in the description box below. Just to help where you can would be amazing. Just to, please help me keep this afloat, because it does work. I have helped a lot of people, and there are still many more that want my help. And I just, I just want to keep this going as long as I possibly can, and hopefully it gets better. So I hope you have a wonderful weekend. I have some amazing news, and I'm sure my son won't mind, but he has just proposed to his girlfriend Abby, so she is now his fiance. It happened yesterday. They called me. I honestly could not be more proud of my son. It's actually emotional now. Abby is just one of the most beautiful, wonderful young women, and they've been together a long time now. And this is just, to see my son, he's my baby, just kind of grow into this amazing young man, and now he's proposed and they're going to get married, and it's just it's just a wonderful, wonderful moment. And I just wanted to share that with you. You've all been part of this journey, and you are like another family to me. And I know that a lot of you have, you've seen Tristan come on, and you've seen my other son as well. And, the things that we've gone through, and you've been always so supportive. So it doesn't feel right to not share that with you all. So, so here's the picture here of them. He proposed on a beach, sandy, beautiful beach with a sunset. And yeah, I'm just super proud mum. And the only sad thing is I wish I could be over there to celebrate it with them, but unfortunately I'm here in the UK. But maybe next year I'll get to go over there and see them, because I do miss them very much. But I hope that you all, wish him all the best along with me, and I will see you in the next video next week. But have a wonderful weekend, all of you, whatever you are doing. Stay safe, look after yourselves, and you know that I love you. I appreciate you, but most of all, I respect you. Take care. Bye-bye. Mwah.